Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about 6 subconscious things you may be doing that can cause people to pull away. So we're going to cover these 6 things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you can do. The very first thing is that you may be coming on too strong. Now, neediness is actually a biological turnoff for just about everybody, but vulnerability and healthy communication are not. So what does this mean? Well, historically, we're wired to be a little bit repelled by neediness because if you can imagine from a biological perspective, if you were trying to survive once upon a time and somebody came along that needed to lean on you and sort of take everything from you that you have as a resource to survive and get your food to be shared and all these different things because they couldn't fend for themselves and work as a team with you and equally contribute, then often what happens is it feels like a threat to survival. So from a biological perspective, we are a little bit wired to be slightly repelled by neediness. It doesn't mean that we can't empathize with it, that we don't have moments like that ourselves as human beings, irrespective of what attachment style we are. We all have moments of feeling that way internally, whether we outwardly express it or just internalize it and push it down and try to disconnect from it. But what we can use as a remedy to this is vulnerability and healthy communication. If we go to somebody and we say, hey, I'm feeling afraid and I could use X, Y, Z, we're solution oriented. We are putting things out there so we can get our needs met and feel fulfilled and move on. And we're also clear about what we need and how we can best use that need. And when that anxiousness and here I have all these feelings and you're responsible for them, when that isn't there, and instead we're saying, hey, I'm feeling this way, I'm aware of it, it's my feeling, but here's what I could use as support. Vulnerability is something that really speaks to us as human beings because we tend to also have a biological part of us that wants to take care of things that are vulnerable as long as they are not necessarily going to be destructive to us in any way. So it's really important to be aware of that. And if we're feeling needy, it's a great solution and strategy is to communicate the fear in a grounded way with a very clear solution for how it can become better. And that solution really looks like expressing a need with a lot of clarity for what it would look like for the need to be met. Don't just say I need support because Bob receives support through a hug and Tom receives support through acts of service, right? And we don't want to have a miscommunication there either. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you don't make somebody feel seen and heard because you are empathizing with them more than you are sympathizing with them, this is a great way to push somebody away, even though you may have the best intentions. And so what this really looks like is, let's say, for example, that Bob is explaining to me how he's feeling about something. And I take that thing and I imagine how I feel about that thing based on my own programming. So maybe Bob is explaining to me, let's pretend I'm dismissive avoidant. So I'm a more avoidant attachment style. I'm more closed off. I'm more independent. I deal with things on my own. And let's say Bob is anxiously attached. So he really seeks that support from somebody else. Well, something that can cause somebody to pull away is if Bob's trying to express to me what he is feeling and he's needing me to be present. And if I'm like, oh, if that were me, I'd need to self-soothe. So I'd need to, pull away from the person. And I may take steps away from Bob because I'm like, oh, Bob's going through a hard time. He needs space. And when I'm sympathizing, I'm expecting Bob to see, feel, experience what I would see, feel, experience in that situation, instead of empathizing, which is trying to actually understand Bob himself, his programs, his patterns, his needs, and then cater to them, not from the perspective of these are my needs, this is what you must need, but, oh, I can see you and understand you based on your patterns and programming, and I want to be there for you according to what you would need instead of according to what I would need. And what that does is it bridges connection. And sometimes people will accidentally push people away because they're sympathizing instead of empathizing. And as a byproduct of that experience, the person will feel really unseen and sometimes even hurt, but not express it. And so really, really important to be able to work through this. And if there's a course that you want to do a deep dive into for free for 7 days, it's the Emotional Mastery and Belief Reprogramming course. It will really help you to get clear about what these patterns are within you, different core beliefs, different expectations, needs that different people have, how to identify yours and understand more about other people's. And then it gives you a whole bunch of resources and strategies for how to show up in that area. So you can check it out for free by clicking the link in the description box below. It's honestly one of the most powerful courses in the school as well. It's like very deep, but we'll give you a blueprint of a lot of like your subconscious mind, how it's working for you or maybe potentially against you. And if you find patterns and programs in there that are working against you, what you can do to create relief so you can have connection, you can feel like life goes more smoothly. Number 3 is you hurt somebody without recognizing it or apologizing about it. And one of the biggest reasons this happens that accidentally subconsciously pushes people away is that we tend to react differently to words and actions. Some people are hurt more by words, like criticism, sharp words, anger, like a rude comment, passive aggression. And some people are hurt more by actions. You not getting back to them, you not texting them in a timely manner, you shutting a conversation down. And so sometimes we can hurt somebody without having any idea, and this can really cause a disruption and somebody to pull away from us. And we don't even consciously realize that we're doing it. So it's important to ask yourself, am I showing up well with my words, and am I showing up well with my actions? And you can even ask people around you if you're looking for feedback, what you could improve on in that area if you think there may be some sort of disconnect that's taking place. Number 4 is you are not making yourself your presence really seen and heard. So sometimes when we feel insecure, we can sort of diminish ourselves, right? We can play small, and nothing better than playing small will have us accidentally, get people to pull away from us or to ignore us because they feel like, okay, we're not actually connecting to you. And so insecurity, unfortunately, just like the biological wiring of our first point, when we come on too strong or we're needy, can accidentally sort of push people away or cause us to not pay much attention. And this doesn't mean that we have to be like super intense all the time, but it's important that we make our feelings and needs heard and seen and understood, and get things to be, just have a sense of presence in our lives so that we are not playing so small and allowing ourselves to be in positions where people, when may accidentally exploit that themselves or not, really appreciate it and come to take it for granted. So it's really important that we see that and how us not doing that can cause people to pull away. Number 5 is if we emotionally dump on other people. And what I mean by this is it's like, you go to somebody and you're constantly telling them your problems, but you're not communicating what you need for a solution. You're not communicating appreciation for them listening and being present. And especially if you're not taking action to solve for the problem, and yet the other person is always giving you advice. I've had a lot of conversations with people over the years who have said, I have a friend and they always want me to be there for them. And I always do share advice, and then they never do anything with it. And they keep coming back to me with the same problem. And sometimes it can be exhausting. And so when that takes place, then sometimes we don't realize that we're pushing people away by doing that. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't rely on others and be vulnerable with other people. It just means that we have to take equal accountability and responsibility for our lives as we expect ourselves to receive love and support from somebody. And it's really those two pieces, being able to receive, being able to connect, and being accountable and responsible for ourselves that allow harmonious relationships to function. That's what healthy interdependence is made up of. And number 6, we are very critical of other people and critical of ourselves. So if we're in a very critical mindset, sometimes when other people in our lives are feeling overwhelmed or stressed, it can sort of weigh on people, and it can feel like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of negativity and pain and suffering there. And that's a call. If we see a lot of that in our lives, and if we ever see people pulling away, that's a call for us to go inwards and realize there's a part of us that really needs our own self-love, our own care, our own compassion, instead of criticism. And we tend to be critical of other people when we have a subconscious comfort zone of criticism in general, which means usually in some form, you can also be quite critical and judgmental of yourself. It can be that you shame yourself a lot, put yourself down when you make mistakes a lot. And we really want to clean up that internal dialogue so that we don't keep supporting that as their subconscious comfort zone. And then we don't see and interact with the world through that lens and become sometimes very critical of other people as well. So those are some really powerful things to be aware of that can accidentally be pushing people away. And again, if you want to do a deep dive into this and reprogram these subconscious patterns, the Emotional Mastery and Belief Reprogramming course that you can check out for free by clicking the link below and typing in once you join the school, because you'll get the free trial, to go in there and type in emotional mastery, and you'll see see that course come up, and you'll be able to access everything in there and print off the workbook and resources. So check that out. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.